I want to start today by reminding you that your time is too valuable, your heart is too precious, and your purpose is too great to keep giving people chances who have already shown you who they are. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your future is to close the door, walk away, and not look back. Too often we make excuses for people. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt me. Maybe if I just give them one more chance, they'll finally change. But the truth is, if someone has continually let you down, if they have broken your trust time and time again, that's not a mistake, it's a pattern. And if you keep letting them back in, it's no longer on them, it's on you. You have to value yourself enough to walk away. You were never meant to be somebody's backup plan, their safety net, or their emotional punching bag. You are a child of the Most High God. He didn't create you to be mistreated, to be taken for granted, to be disrespected. It's time to stop lowering your standards and start raising your expectations. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't forgive. Forgiveness is for you. It frees you from bitterness, from anger, from the weight of what they did. But listen, forgiveness doesn't mean access. Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean they get to come back into your life and do it all over again. Some people are lessons, not lifelong assignments. You might be thinking, but I've known them for years. I don't want to lose that connection. Let me tell you, sometimes the people who have been in your life the longest are the very ones holding you back. If they wanted to change, they would have changed by now. Stop waiting on them to become who they should be and start moving forward with your life. God has better for you. He has people who will love you, support you, honor you, and value you the way you deserve. But as long as you keep holding on to the wrong ones, you'll never have room for the right ones. Don't let fear of being alone keep you in a place where you are not respected. When you let go of the wrong people, you make room for God's best. This is your moment to rise higher. This is your moment to close the door on what no longer serves you. This is your moment to walk boldly into the future God has prepared for you. Don't give them another chance. It's time to move on. Life has a way of teaching us lessons through experience. One of the most important lessons we can learn is to recognize patterns, especially when it comes to people and their behavior. Often we find ourselves caught in cycles, dealing with the same disappointments, the same betrayals, and the same heartaches over and over again. At first, we might think it's just a coincidence. We tell ourselves, they didn't mean it, or this time will be different, but deep down, we know better. We feel that sense of deja vu, that nagging voice in the back of our minds telling us, haven't we been here before? The truth is, people show us who they are over time. Their actions, more than their words, reveal their true nature. Yet, because we want to believe in the best in others, we ignore the warning signs. We dismiss the red flags. We make excuses for behavior that we know isn't right. And before we know it, we're in the same situation, hurt in the same way by the same person, wondering how we got here again. But here's something you need to understand. When someone mistreats you once, it may be a mistake. When they mistreat you twice, it can be a misunderstanding. But when it happens repeatedly, it's not an accident, it's a pattern. A pattern is a predictable cycle of behavior that shows up consistently over time. And if you don't recognize it, you'll keep getting caught in it. Think about it like this. If you touch a hot stove once, you learn that it burns. You don't go back and place your hand on it again, hoping that this time it will be cool. You recognize the danger and you adjust your actions accordingly. But when it comes to people, we often don't apply the same logic. We let our emotions override our judgment. We hold on to memories of how things used to be instead of accepting how they are now. We convince ourselves that maybe they didn't mean to hurt us, or that maybe with enough time and patience they'll change. But the truth is, if someone wanted to change, they would have changed by now. If they truly valued you, they wouldn't keep doing the same things that hurt you. Real change isn't just about words, it's about actions. Someone who genuinely cares about you won't continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. So if you keep finding yourself in the same painful situation, dealing with the same disappointment, it's time to stop asking, why do they keep doing this to me? And start asking, why do I keep allowing it? Because the moment you recognize the pattern, you have a choice. You can keep repeating it, or you can break free from it. Now, breaking free isn't always easy. It requires a shift in mindset. It requires you to let go of the illusion that this time will be different when all the evidence suggests otherwise. It requires you to trust what you see, not just what you hear. If someone's words say one thing, but their actions tell a different story, always believe the actions. You might be thinking, but what if they really do change? And while it's true that people can change, change isn't something that happens overnight. It's not something you have to wait around for, hoping that one day they'll become the person they promised to be. Change is proven over time through consistent effort, not empty apologies. When you recognize a pattern, don't ignore it. Don't brush it aside because you want to believe in potential more than reality. Reality is what you need to focus on because reality will set you free. The moment you stop giving people the benefit of the doubt when they've already shown you who they are is the moment you take back your power. Think of it this way. Imagine you're driving down a road and you see a warning sign that says, "Bridge out ahead." You have two choices. You can pay attention to the sign, stop, and find a different route, or you can ignore it, keep driving, and end up in disaster. The same principle applies to people. When they've already shown you time and time again that they are not reliable, not trustworthy, not respectful of you, consider that your warning sign. Heed the warning before you get hurt again. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that drain you. You deserve people who respect your time, your energy, and your boundaries. But as long as you keep allowing the same people to mistreat you, they'll keep doing it. People don't change when they have no reason to. As long as they know they can come back, apologize, and do it all over again, they have no incentive to do better. So take a step back and ask yourself, are you stuck in a pattern? Are you making excuses for someone who has already shown you who they are? Are you hoping for change from someone who isn't showing any signs of growth? If the answer is yes, then maybe it's time to break the cycle. Recognizing a pattern doesn't mean you're being harsh, unforgiving, or judgmental. It means you are being wise. It means you are valuing yourself enough to see the truth for what it is. When you see the same behavior over and over again, take it as confirmation that it's not going to change. At that point, the next move is yours. Will you keep making excuses, or will you finally decide that you deserve better? Because the truth is, you do. You deserve respect. You deserve love. You deserve relationships that bring you peace, not pain. And when you finally recognize the pattern and make the choice to walk away, that's when you step into a new level of freedom. That's when you make space for better relationships, healthier connections, and a future where you're not constantly dealing with the same heartbreak over and over again. So pay attention. Don't ignore the signs. Don't convince yourself that this time will be different when everything points to the fact that it won't. When you see a pattern, recognize it and make the decision that enough is enough. Because the moment you do, that's when you start walking toward the life you truly deserve. There comes a point in life when you have to make a decision about how you allow yourself to be treated. You have to ask yourself, do I truly value myself enough to walk away from the things and people that no longer serve me? Too often we settle for relationships, friendships, and situations that drain us rather than build us. We make excuses for why we stay, convincing ourselves that we are being kind, patient, or understanding, but in reality we are depleting ourselves, sacrificing our own peace and self-worth for the comfort of familiarity. One of the hardest things to do is to walk away from something or someone we've invested so much time and energy into. The longer we have been in a relationship, whether romantic, professional, or personal, the harder it is to imagine life without it. We think about the good times, the memories, the potential of what things could be, rather than facing the reality of what they are. But the truth is, your time is too precious to keep giving it to people who do not value it. Your kindness is too rare to keep offering it to those who take it for granted. So many times we let our emotions get in the way of what we know is right. We let guilt, fear, and hope cloud our judgment. We feel guilty for walking away, afraid of what people will think, worried that maybe we are making a mistake. We hold on to hope that maybe things will get better, that maybe they will finally realize what they have in us, that maybe this time will be different. But deep down, we already know the answer. We know when something is no longer healthy. We know when we are the only ones fighting to make something work. We know when our presence is being tolerated rather than appreciated. The problem is we often wait for permission to leave. We wait for an undeniable sign, for someone to tell us, yes, you're right to walk away. But the reality is, no one is going to give you that permission. No one is going to come and tell you when enough is enough. You have to make that decision for yourself. You have to get to a place where you value yourself so much that you refuse to stay in environments that diminish your worth. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is not wrong to protect your peace. It is not cruel to walk away from people who have continually shown you that they do not respect you. Too often we confuse self-respect with selfishness. But the truth is, loving yourself enough to walk away is one of the most powerful things you can do. It is a declaration that you refuse to be mistreated, that you refuse to be taken for granted, that you refuse to accept less than what you deserve. Think about it. If someone repeatedly disrespected you, ignored your feelings, or took advantage of your kindness, would you encourage a loved one to stay in that situation? Would you tell your best friend, your sibling, or your child to continue allowing themselves to be mistreated? Of course not. You would tell them to leave, to set boundaries, to demand better. So why don't we give ourselves that same advice? Why do we make excuses for others while neglecting our own well-being? The reason is simple. We don't always see our own value clearly. We look at others and see their worth, their potential, their goodness. But when it comes to ourselves, we minimize our own needs. We tell ourselves it's not that bad. We convince ourselves that we can handle it, that we are strong enough to endure. But endurance is not the goal. Thriving is the goal. You were not created to merely survive in relationships. You were created to be honored, respected, and cherished. Walking away does not mean you don't care. It does not mean you don't love them. It simply means you love yourself enough to stop accepting behavior that wounds you. You can still have love for someone and choose not to have them in your life. You can still wish someone well and recognize that their presence is not healthy for you. Love does not mean allowing yourself to be mistreated. It does not mean sacrificing your happiness for someone else's comfort. One of the hardest parts about valuing yourself enough to walk away is the uncertainty that comes with it. You may wonder what life will look like without that person, that job, that friendship. You may fear the loneliness that follows. But here's what you have to understand. When you let go of what is hurting you, you make space for what will heal you. When you release what no longer serves you, you open the door for what truly belongs in your life. God never asks us to settle. He never intended for us to live in relationships that drain us, that break us down, that make us question our worth. If something is causing you constant pain, it is not from Him. If you have to beg someone to treat you right, to see your value, to respect your time, then that person is not part of His plan for your life. Sometimes walking away is the test. It is the moment where you show God that you trust Him enough to let go of what is wrong so He can bring you what is right. It is a demonstration of faith, a declaration that you will no longer accept less than what He has for you. And when you take that step, when you finally decide that you are worth more, you will be amazed at what happens next. The right people will enter your life. The right opportunities will come. The peace that you have been missing will return. And you will look back and wonder why you stayed in that situation for so long. You will see that what you thought you needed was actually holding you back. You will realize that settling for less was never part of your destiny. So today, make the decision to value yourself enough to walk away. Stop waiting for them to change. Stop waiting for the situation to improve. Stop holding on to something that is only bringing you stress, heartache, and pain. You are worth more than that. You deserve more than that. And when you finally believe that, you will stop allowing anything less. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It frees you from bitterness, from anger, and from the weight of the past. It allows you to move forward without carrying resentment in your heart. But one of the biggest misconceptions about forgiveness is that it means giving someone the same place in your life that they had before. That if you truly forgive, you must let them back in, trust them again, and give them another chance. But the truth is, forgiveness and access are two completely different things. You can forgive someone and still choose to keep them at a distance. You can release the hurt they caused you while refusing to put yourself in a position where they can hurt you again. So often people feel pressured to reconcile after they forgive. They hear things like, if you really moved on, why won't you let them back in? Or if you still keep your guard up, maybe you haven't truly forgiven. But that's not true. Forgiveness is a matter of the heart. Reconciliation is a matter of wisdom. You can have peace about what happened, but that doesn't mean you should open the door for it to happen again. Think about it like this. If you loaned someone money and they never paid you back, you might decide to forgive them. You release the debt in your heart and you no longer hold resentment toward them. But would you loan them money again? Most likely not. Not because you're bitter, but because you've learned from experience. You don't hold what they did against them, but you also don't allow them to repeat the same behavior. The same principle applies to relationships. Just because you have forgiven someone does not mean they should have access to your heart, your time, or your energy. Forgiveness is given freely, but trust is earned. And if someone has repeatedly broken that trust, if they have continually disrespected or hurt you, then wisdom says to keep your distance. One of the reasons people struggle with this is because they feel guilty. They think, if I were a good person, I would give them another chance. But being a good person doesn't mean allowing yourself to be mistreated. It doesn't mean ignoring patterns of behavior that have already proven to be harmful. In fact, sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself and for the other person is to set a firm boundary. When you forgive someone and let them back in without any real change on their part, you are not helping them grow. You are enabling the same behavior. If there are no consequences for their actions, if they always have a way back in no matter what they do, then there is no reason for them to change. They will continue to take you for granted because they know you will always be there, always give them another chance, always overlook the hurt they've caused. Forgiveness is about releasing the burden of offense, but it does not mean ignoring wisdom. You can love someone from a distance. You can pray for them, wish them well, and still recognize that they are not healthy for your life. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. In other words, wise people recognize when a situation is harmful and take steps to protect themselves. They don't keep walking into the same trap, hoping this time it will be different. You have to look at the history. Has this person shown genuine change, or are they just saying the right things to get back in? Have they demonstrated through consistent actions that they have grown, or is it just another apology with no follow-through? Too many people let their emotions override their wisdom. They want to believe the best in others, so they ignore the evidence in front of them. They think maybe they didn't mean it, or maybe this time will be different. But deep down, they already know. They have seen this pattern before. They have experienced the same hurt, the same disappointment over and over again. At some point, you have to stop letting people use your kindness against you. You have to realize that guarding your heart is not a sign of unforgiveness. It's a sign of self-respect. God did not create you to be mistreated. He did not intend for you to keep putting yourself in situations where you are devalued and disrespected. When you forgive, you are setting yourself free. But when you set boundaries, you are keeping yourself free. The people who truly care about you, who truly value you, will respect those boundaries. The ones who don't will be upset that they can no longer take advantage of you. And that alone should tell you everything you need to know. Some people will try to guilt trip you into letting them back in. They will say things like, "You're not being fair," or "I thought you were a forgiving person." But remember this, no one who genuinely loves and respects you will pressure you into a situation that makes you uncomfortable. True love does not manipulate. True respect does not demand access. It earns it. It is not your job to fix people. It is not your responsibility to keep giving someone chance after chance while they continue to hurt you. You can forgive them and still move on with your life. You can release the pain and still choose not to let them back in. God has better for you. He has people who will love you the way you deserve to be loved. He has relationships that will add to your life, not drain you. But as long as you keep letting the wrong people back in, you are closing the door on the right ones. So today, make the decision to forgive, but also make the decision to protect yourself. Let go of the offense, but don't let go of your wisdom. You can walk in love and still walk away from people who are not good for you. Because at the end of the day, forgiveness is for your heart, but access is for your peace. And you deserve both. There comes a time when you have to realize that not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay. Some people come as blessings, while others come as lessons. The challenge is knowing the difference and having the strength to let go when necessary. It's easy to hold on to relationships, friendships, and situations simply because of the time invested in them. You tell yourself that you've been through so much together that you can't just walk away, that maybe if you give it a little more time, things will change. But the truth is, time does not fix what a person refuses to change. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships because they believe that if they keep giving someone another chance, eventually that person will see their worth. They think if I love them more, if I show them more patience, if I prove how much I care, maybe they will change. But love should not be something you have to prove. Respect should not be something you have to earn. The right people in your life will not require endless chances to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that their kindness, their loyalty, and their forgiveness will inspire change in others. But in reality, change comes from within. If a person does not see a reason to change on their own, no amount of love, patience, or second chances will make a difference. You cannot want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. You cannot force someone to value you the way you value them. People reveal their true nature over time. At first they may say all the right things. They may make promises, tell you what you want to hear, and convince you that this time will be different. But words are meaningless without action. If someone repeatedly shows you through their actions that they do not value you, believe them. If someone continually disregards your feelings, disrespects your boundaries, or fails to prioritize you, take that as the truth. The hardest part of walking away is the fear of the unknown. You wonder what life will look like without that person. You worry that maybe you are making a mistake, that maybe you should have held on just a little longer. But here's what you need to understand. You will never receive what is truly meant for you if you keep holding on to what is not. As long as you keep making room for the wrong people, you are blocking the right ones from entering your life. So many people settle for less than they deserve because they are afraid to be alone. They would rather have a toxic relationship than no relationship at all. They would rather tolerate disrespect than face the discomfort of moving on. But the truth is, being alone for a season is far better than being mistreated for a lifetime. You have to trust that when you walk away from what is not right, you are making room for what is, Walking away does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are bitter. It means you are wise enough to recognize when something is not good for you. It means you love yourself enough to stop accepting less than you deserve. Some people will try to make you feel guilty for leaving. They will say, after everything we've been through, you're really just going to walk away? But the real question is, after everything they've done, how could they expect you to stay? You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, who appreciate you, who bring out the best in you. You were not created to be constantly disappointed, heartbroken, or questioning your worth. If someone truly values you, they will show it, not just with words, but with consistent actions. It is time to stop giving people the benefit of the doubt when they have already shown you who they are. It is time to stop believing empty promises and start believing in yourself. You're not asking for too much by expecting respect, honesty, and kindness. The right people will not see your standards as a burden. They will see them as a privilege. When you walk away from what is wrong, you are making a statement not just to the person who mistreated you, but to yourself. You are declaring that you are worthy of more. You are choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over approval, and strength over fear. And when you make that choice, everything begins to change. Suddenly you have more energy. You feel lighter, freer, more at peace. You no longer have to constantly defend yourself, explain yourself, or beg someone to treat you right. You realize that your happiness was never tied to them in the first place. It was always within you. And here's the beautiful thing. When you finally let go of what is not right, you create space for what is. The right people will come into your life. Not because you chased them, not because you had to convince them to stay, but because they recognize your value from the very beginning. They will treat you with the love, respect, and kindness you always deserved. So today, make the decision to stop settling. Stop giving people endless chances when they have already proven who they are. Stop hoping they will change when they have shown no effort to do so. Trust yourself enough to walk away and trust that something better is waiting on the other side. Because when you finally stop allowing what is wrong, you open the door to everything that is right. One of the most difficult things in life is realizing that some people are not meant to stay in your life. No matter how much history you have with them, no matter how much you want things to be different, and no matter how much you care, the reality is that not everyone deserves a permanent place in your journey. It's a hard truth to accept, but one that can set you free if you are willing to embrace it. The challenge is that we are naturally wired to hold on to relationships even when they no longer serve us. We tell ourselves, they've been in my life for so long, or I've invested so much in this relationship. And we think that walking away would mean wasting all that time and energy. But the truth is, holding on to the wrong people is what wastes your time. Every day you spend trying to fix something that is broken beyond repair is a day you could have been moving forward. When someone repeatedly shows you that they do not value you, respect you, or appreciate you, that is not something you should ignore. It is a message that tells you exactly where you stand in their life. The problem is, we don't always want to accept that message. We make excuses for their behavior. We tell ourselves they didn't mean it, that maybe they were just having a bad day. We convince ourselves that if we are patient enough, kind enough, loving enough, they will eventually change. But time and time again, they prove otherwise. The reason it's so difficult to walk away from people who mistreat us is that we focus too much on their potential instead of their reality. We see who they could be, not who they actually are. We remember the good moments, the times they were kind, the times they made us feel special. And we hold on to those moments as proof that they are worth keeping in our lives. But a few good moments do not outweigh a pattern of disrespect. Love, friendship, and loyalty should not be occasional, they should be consistent. The truth is, some people will never change, not because they can't, but because they don't see a reason to. If you continue to tolerate their behavior, if you keep giving them chance after chance with no consequences, then they have no motivation to do better. Why would they? They already know that no matter what they do, you will always take them back. At some point, you have to ask yourself, how many chances am I willing to give before I finally say enough is enough? How many times do I have to be hurt before I decide that I deserve better? How much longer am I going to allow someone to treat me like an option when I am willing to give them my all? The moment you start valuing yourself is the moment everything changes. When you recognize that you do not have to beg someone to treat you right, when you understand that real love and respect do not require constant second chances, you will stop tolerating behavior that drains you. You will stop giving your energy to people who only take and never give back. You will stop trying to force relationships that were never meant to last. One of the hardest parts of this journey is the fear of what comes next. When you let go of someone who has been in your life for a long time, it can feel like you are stepping into the unknown. You wonder if you are making a mistake, if you will regret your decision, if you will ever find someone better. But here's the truth. You cannot receive what is truly meant for you if you keep holding on to what is not. Think about it. If your hands are full of things that no longer serve you, how can you ever pick up the blessings that are waiting for you? If you keep your life filled with the wrong people, how will the right people ever find space to come in? The longer you hold on to what is wrong, the longer you delay what is right. Letting go does not mean you are bitter. It does not mean you are unforgiving. It does not mean you do not care. It simply means you care about yourself enough to stop settling. It means you are wise enough to recognize when a relationship is no longer healthy. It means you have enough self-respect to walk away from anything that no longer aligns with the life you want to live. The people who truly value you will never put you in a position where you have to constantly question your worth. They will never make you feel like you are hard to love, like you are asking for too much, or like you are a burden. Real love, real friendship, real relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and appreciation. And if someone cannot give you that, then they do not deserve a place in your life. It is time to stop waiting for people to change. It is time to stop hoping that one day they will wake up and realize how much they have hurt you. It is time to stop giving endless chances to people who have already proven that they do not deserve them. You owe it to yourself to walk away from anything that no longer serves your happiness, your growth, and your peace. You owe it to yourself to stop settling for relationships that leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and undervalued. You owe it to yourself to let go of the people who have shown you time and time again that they are not willing to change. Because the moment you let go of what is wrong is the moment you make room for what is right. The moment you stop giving your energy to the wrong people is the moment the right people start finding their way to you. The moment you say, I deserve better, is the moment your life starts aligning with something greater. So don't be afraid to walk away. Don't be afraid to close doors that no longer lead you to your purpose. Don't be afraid to choose yourself, because when you do, you're not losing anything. You are making space for something better. When you decide to stop giving someone another chance, it is not an act of cruelty or revenge. It is an act of self-respect. It is recognizing that your time, your energy, and your heart are valuable and should not be wasted on people who continually take them for granted. Too often, people mistake kindness for weakness. They assume that because you are understanding, because you are forgiving, because you have a good heart, you will always let them back in. They think that no matter what they do, no matter how many times they hurt you, you will always be there, always willing to start over, always ready to give them another chance. But there comes a time when you have to draw the line, when you have to say, I love myself too much to continue allowing this behavior in my life. When you have to recognize that some people are not meant to stay, no matter how much history you have with them. It is not an easy thing to do. Walking away, closing doors, and refusing to allow someone back into your life can be painful. It can make you question yourself. You may wonder if you are being too harsh, if you are making the right decision, if maybe they deserve just one more opportunity to make things right. But deep down, you already know the answer. If someone has repeatedly shown you that they do not value your presence, then they do not deserve another chance to take you for granted. If someone has broken your trust time and time again, then they do not deserve another opportunity to do it again. If someone has continuously disrespected your boundaries, then they do not deserve another chance to cross them. People will treat you based on what you allow. If you continue to let them back in without any real consequences, they will continue to repeat the same behavior. Not because they don't know it hurts you, but because they know they can get away with it. They know that no matter how many times they mess up, you will always give them another opportunity. That is why it is so important to stand firm in your decision, to recognize that refusing to give another chance does not mean you are bitter, unforgiving, or full of resentment. It means you have learned your lesson. It means you have decided to choose peace over chaos, self-respect over mistreatment, and wisdom over wishful thinking. There is a difference between grace and enablement. Grace is forgiving someone, letting go of the hurt, and wishing them well from a distance. Enablement is allowing them to keep hurting you because you are afraid to let go. Some people will take advantage of your kindness, using it as a way to manipulate their way back into your life. They will apologize, promise to change, say all the right things, but their actions will never align with their words. It is easy to get caught up in emotions. You think about the good times, the shared memories, the potential they had, and you start to question your decision. But the truth is, you cannot build a relationship on potential. You cannot hold on to someone based on who they could be. You have to look at who they have chosen to be. And if their actions have consistently hurt, disappointed, or disrespected you, then you owe it to yourself to walk away. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is standing up for yourself. It is choosing to no longer be a doormat. It is refusing to let someone continue to mistreat you simply because they know they can. When you stop giving people endless chances, you start valuing yourself more. You begin to realize that you do not need to beg for love, for respect, or for consideration. The right people will never put you in a position where you feel like you have to constantly prove your worth. They will never make you feel like you have to keep giving them chances just to be treated the way you should have been treated in the first place. There is a freedom that comes with finally letting go. A weight lifts off your shoulders when you no longer have to worry about whether someone will change, whether they will finally start appreciating you, whether they will finally treat you the way you deserve. Some people will never change, not because they can't, but because they don't have to. As long as they have access to you, as long as they know you will keep giving them another chance, they have no reason to do better. The only way to break the cycle is to remove yourself from it, to decide that enough is enough, to recognize that you deserve more, and to refuse to settle for less. People will say, you have changed. They will say you are acting differently, and they will be right, because you are no longer allowing yourself to be used, manipulated, or taken advantage of. You are no longer making excuses for people who do not respect you. You are no longer sacrificing your peace for the sake of keeping toxic relationships alive. And that is a good thing, because the moment you decide to stop giving people unlimited chances, you start making room for the right people. The ones who will love you the first time, the ones who will respect you without needing to be reminded, the ones who will cherish your presence rather than take it for granted. So today, make the decision to stop reopening doors that God has already closed. Stop holding on to relationships that no longer serve you. Stop allowing people to treat you in a way that you would never treat them, because you are worth more. You are worthy of love, respect, peace, and joy. And the moment you stop settling, the moment you stop giving endless chances to those who do not deserve them, is the moment you step into the life you were meant to live. There comes a moment in life when you must decide that enough is enough, that your worth is not up for negotiation, that your heart is not a revolving door for people who take you for granted. You have given chances, extended grace, and believed in change that never came, but now it is time to choose yourself. Walking away is not about bitterness or revenge. It is about wisdom. It is about knowing when someone has shown you their true intentions and believing them. It is about understanding that holding on to what is wrong will only delay what is right. You cannot force someone to value you, to respect you, or to love you the way you deserve. But you can choose to stop settling for less than what you are worth. No more making excuses for behavior that drains you. No more allowing people back into your life who have proven they do not belong there. No more hoping that one day they will wake up and realize your value. The truth is, the right people will never need to be convinced to treat you well. The right people will cherish you from the start. You were not created to live in a cycle of disappointment, heartbreak, and frustration. You were meant to thrive, to grow, to experience relationships that uplift and inspire you. But that can only happen when you stop giving space to those who were never meant to stay. So today, make the choice to move forward, to let go of what no longer serves you, to close doors that have remained open for far too long. And as you do, you will find that the peace, the love, and the fulfillment you have been searching for were never in another chance. It was always in choosing yourself.